We are going to continue learning about our topic, great ideas, and our essential question, what difference can a great idea make? What are some of the great ideas we just read about in our I Can Read passage? We read about all the things science helped us to build, like sailboats, steamboats, autos, another name for cars, and railroads. These are all great ideas that help us travel to places that are far away. Having a great idea can help us solve problems and mysteries. As we are reading today, I want you to continue thinking about our question, how can we solve mysteries? When we read the first half of the story, Dot and Jabber, they had a mystery to solve. Take a minute and think back to our writing task from Activity 3. Think about what was the mystery Dot and Jabber were trying to solve, and why was it a mystery? If you want to pause the screen so that you can reread or review your writing with a friend or family member, that would be a great idea. We're going to reread our example from Activity 3 to quickly retell what happened in the first half of Dot and Jabber. Dot and Jabber are trying to solve the mystery of how a little oak tree grew when there were no big oak trees around. This is a mystery because an oak tree grows from an acorn that comes from a big oak tree. Dot and Jabber find a big oak tree, but it is on the other side of the meadow. Today, we will read to find out how the acorn got to the other side of the meadow so the little oak tree could grow. Our learning target today is we will read closely, talk, and write to determine if Dot and Jabber are good detectives. We will read our story together. Throughout the story, we will stop, ask questions, and discuss what we have read. We will show our learning by writing about the text. Let's look at the success criteria for our writing. Today, we will be writing an opinion piece. Our writing will need to have 4 key features. We will need to start with a topic sentence. Today, our topic sentence will state your opinion about Dot and Jabber's detective skills. Next, you need a sentence to state your reason. This should explain your thinking about Dot and Jabber as detectives. Then you need a sentence to give an explanation using evidence from the text. This should support your opinion. Last, you need a sentence to close your writing. In your closing sentence, you need to restate your opinion that you wrote in your first sentence. This will tie all of your writing together. We are going to continue reading the second half of the story, Dot and Jabber, today. Dot and Jabber is an informational fiction text. Remember, the genre informational fiction has elements of make-believe, such as our characters Dot and Jabber, who are mice that talk. Informational fiction texts also give us facts, such as the factual information we read about acorns and oak trees. Let's begin reading today to find out what additional clues Dot and Jabber find to help them solve the mystery of the acorn on page 110 and 111. At last, they arrived at the big oak tree. "Look," said Dot, "I bet there are 1,000,000 acorns here." "They don't have wings," said Jabber, "but they taste good." "Don't eat them, Jabber. They're clues." So on these 2 pages, we found the clues that we've been searching for, the acorns. Dot and Jabber made an observation on these 2 pages. What did they notice that the acorns did not have? Yes, they did not have wings like the maple seeds. So they're still trying to figure out how the acorns got to the other side of the meadow. Let's keep reading on page 112 to find out. "Acorns don't have wings, but they might have sneaky feet," said Dot. "Let's keep watch and see if they start to move." Dot tells Jabber that they need to watch the acorns. Another word we could use is observe. When you are observing something, you are watching it closely. Why might they need to observe the acorns? In the text, Dot says they might have sneaky feet. What does the author mean when he says the acorns might have sneaky feet? Yes, Dot is saying maybe they're going to run away or somehow sneak to the other side of the meadow. Let's read and find out what they discover as they observe the acorns on page 113. Plip! An acorn dropped from the big oak tree. Jabber poked it with a stick. This acorn isn't going anywhere, he said. None of them are. Why does the author italicize the word plip in this page? The author is emphasizing the sound of the acorn that it made as it fell from the tree. What does Jabber discover after the acorn falls? I see in the illustration, Jabber is poking the acorn and it isn't moving. I can also read what Jabber said. This acorn isn't going anywhere. None of them are. Let's keep reading to find out how the acorn moves on page 114 and 115. A squirrel came and sat down among the acorns. Jabber, look, Dot whispered. What is he doing? Oh, gasped Jabber. He's eating our clue. He can't be, said Dot. The shell is still on it. So why is he stuffing it in his mouth? Asked Jabber. The squirrel ran off. Oh no, he's stealing the acorn, the detectives cried and ran after him. What did Dot and Jabber discover as they were observing the acorns? Yes, they noticed a squirrel who started eating the acorns. Do you think that this is important for us to know? I agree. What are Dot and Jabber going to do now? Yes, they're going to follow the squirrel to find out where he is taking the acorns. Do you think that this makes them good detectives? Let's keep reading to find out what the squirrel is going to do with the acorn on page 116. When the squirrel stopped, they stopped and watched to see what would happen next. What's he doing now? Asked Jabber. Digging a hole. Look, he's hiding the acorn. Jabber stared at Dot. Maybe he's planting it. What did Dot and Jabber observe the squirrel doing? Yes, the squirrel was digging a hole. Why do you think this is happening? Maybe he's hiding the acorns. Or, like Dot said, maybe he's planting it. Let's keep reading on page 117. Of course, said Dot, our acorn crossed the meadow on squirrel feet and got planted by squirrel feet, said Jabber, and grew into the little oak tree, said Dot. The mystery is solved. We are two clever mouse detectives. What did Dot and Jabber figure out through their observations, looking for clues and asking questions? They observed that the squirrel was the one who moved the acorns. How did the acorn get to the other side of the meadow? On squirrel feet. So when the author says squirrel feet, what does he mean? The squirrel was the one to pick them up and take them to the other side of the meadow. Let's read the final 2 pages. Hooray, shouted Jabber. Now what will we do? Find another mystery, said Dot. But I'm hungry, said Jabber. First, let's go eat some of those leftover clues. What are some of the things that Dot and Jabber had to do to solve their mystery? Do you think they're good detectives? What details did we pull out that we could use as evidence to prove that they were good detectives? Remember, our learning target for today was to determine if Dot and Jabber were good detectives. We will show our understanding of what we read today by writing our opinion. We will answer this question. Do you think Dot and Jabber are good detectives? As we were reading, we stopped and discussed all of the information that we read. We followed Dot and Jabber as they were looking for clues to try and solve the mystery. They were patient throughout and did not give up. They asked questions, they closely observed the acorns and then the squirrel, and they followed his tracks. They were able to figure out that the squirrel took the acorns and buried them in the ground. To be successful in writing your opinion, you need 4 key features in your writing. You need to start with your opinion, where you're going to tell me whether or not you think Dot and Jabber are good detectives. Next, you will need to write a sentence explaining your thinking about Dot and Jabber as detectives. Then, your explanation, you will write 1 sentence to explain your reason using evidence from the text to support your opinion. And last, you will close your sentence by restating your opinion. We are going to work together to write a closing sentence where you will restate your opinion and tie all of your reasons together. Remember our success criteria checklist that we use with all of our writing. The first one says you start every sentence with a capital letter and end with a punctuation mark. Everything needs to be written neatly. You need to write in complete sentences, and you need to use evidence from the text. Let's look at an example opinion writing and compare it to our success criteria for today's writing task. I think that Dot and Jabber are good detectives because they were able to solve the mystery of the acorn. Good detectives look for clues and observe closely. Dot and Jabber followed the clues and observed as the squirrel took the acorns and buried them. Does this text have a clear opinion statement, telling an opinion about whether or not Dot and Jabber are good detectives? Yes. I can see here the writer says, I think Dot and Jabber are good detectives. Now let's look to see if the writer included reasons to support his opinion. What reason does the writer give for his opinion that Dot and Jabber are good detectives? Yes, his reason they are good detectives is that they are able to solve the mystery. Let's think about the explanation with evidence. Does the writer use text evidence to explain his reason? Yes. He says good detectives look for clues and observe closely. What evidence from the text does the writer give to support his explanation? Yes. He says Dot and Jabber looked for clues and observed as the squirrel took the acorns and buried them. Which one of our success criteria is this writer missing? He is missing our closing paragraph by restating his opinion. Let's write our closing sentence together. What was our opinion? We thought they were good detectives. I will write, I know Dot and Jabber were good detectives. What was our reason? Because they solved the mystery. I will add on to my sentence, because they solved the mystery. How did we explain this with evidence? They looked for clues and observed closely to help them solve the mystery. I close my sentence by saying, by looking for clues and observing closely. Let's go back and reread our paragraph to make sure the closing sentence does a good job of pulling all the ideas together. I think that Dot and Jabber are good detectives because they were able to solve the mystery of the acorn. Good detectives look for clues and observe closely. Dot and Jabber followed the clues and observed as the squirrel took the acorns and buried them. I know Dot and Jabber were good detectives because they solved the mystery by looking for clues and observing closely. I challenge you to go back, write your own opinion about whether or not you think Dot and Jabber were good detectives. If you want an extra challenge, you can label the 4 key features of an opinion paragraph. Let's review what we learned today. We learned what sound AU and AW spell. We read words with all of these patterns and then read a passage using high frequency words and the ah sound. We discussed great ideas and how they can help us when you're trying to solve a mystery or find a solution to a problem. We read the second half of our story, Dot and Jabber, and discussed reasons they were good detectives and how they were able to solve the mystery. We used the information, clues, and observations from our story to write an opinion paragraph. Together, we reviewed an example opinion paragraph and wrote a strong closing sentence, which restated the writer's opinion. I enjoyed reading and learning with you all today.